What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about guitar setup because it's getting to be that time of year where, your cooling, heating stuff is going to be changing around the house and it's going to affect your guitar collection. Thank you to the person in the comments of a live stream who gave me the idea for this video. Do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button if you like guitar stuff, because that's what we do here. So here's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a little different video. We're going to go over the fundamentals of what we would do for our yearly guitar maintenance, or at least the minimal check everything stuff, okay? Because probably in most situations, this isn't going to amount to an entire guitar setup on every guitar. Why is that? Because when we leave a guitar and we do not play it for a period of time, nothing actually moves on the guitar by itself, right? So people want to grab a screwdriver and start adjusting stuff when their guitar is out of adjustment. And in reality, the only thing that's moved without us touching it is the neck relief, because the humidity or lack thereof in your home will cause the wood to move around. So what we'll do is we'll basically check this, and if it hasn't moved, probably not a whole lot other to do except for maybe put a new set of strings on it, oil the fretboard, and clean the guitar up, right? If it's moved, then we'll do a little adjustment. We'll make a little tweak. But if you are like me and you're real particular about your house, I've got a few of these around the house. This little magnetic thing I got on Amazon. I'll leave a link to it. 76 degrees in here, 48% humidity. I mean, that's pretty good. And, I've got guitars up here and I've got guitars over there. And it's basically pretty good. Like it stays pretty well. The problem is that when we switch from like AC to forced air heating in the wintertime, it might dry out a little bit, and that's what's going to cause us to move. And we're getting to the season where this is going to be a problem for some of us. So instead of doing a very detailed how to set up a guitar video today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the fundamentals on one guitar, and then we're going to rapid fire through a bunch of guitars. So I'm just going to we're going to leave the camera set up. I'm going to grab a bunch of guitars, and we're just going to rapid fire go through all of them. And for most of your guitars, this is probably all you're going to have to do. It's not going to seem like an overwhelming task if you have more than one, because it's really only the one adjustment that we've got to worry about. And I bet you we won't have to do a whole lot to many of these guitars, if any at all. So let's go over some of the fundamentals, and then we'll just start cranking through a bunch of styles of guitars so you get an idea. Okay, first things first, there's going to be a bunch of people that jump through the comment section and say you should be doing this in playing position instead of flat. And I agree. When you hold the guitar upright in playing position, then you don't have the influence of weird gravity and tension and stuff on the guitar. It doesn't make that big a difference, but for all the folks that are going to be super particular about that, do it in playing position. Make sure that you have the strings. And again, this is maintenance, so most of this stuff is probably already done. You have the strings that you normally play on the guitar, right? The weight and everything. You tune the guitar to pitch, right? So it's just basically a tuned up guitar. And then from there, you do this in playing position, but like I said, for the video and easier on camera, this is how we're doing it, okay? So just calm down. So we're gonna use a couple of tools here. We've got our StewMac toolkit. We may use our StewMac string height gauge if we have to make a bunch of adjustments. I don't know. We've got a feeler gauge set here. I've got a Gibson truss rod wrench for when we get to the Gibson stuff. And then if I have to make any big adjustments, we'll go ahead and tune the guitars, and we'll check the tuning on all of them. I might not do that on camera because that's lame. And then the other thing is we have a capo. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the capo and we're going to capo the first fret, and that's going to serve as our third hand. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to fret the fretboard, fret the low E string, wherever it applies to all the guitars. So wherever the last fret where it actually attaches to the guitar. So that's right here. And then we're going to pick halfway in between-ish. So that's going to be right about in here. And we're going to put that feeler gauge right in here. Now this guitar, I typically, now 5/1000 is what I have here. This standard, this adjustment can be whatever you want it to be. If you're a person who has a very heavy hand and you like this to be a little loose, then that's okay. What we're concerned with here is if it's moved from when the last time you adjusted it. So another thing that I would make a recommendation to do is have a little notebook with these adjustments in all written down for all your guitars, or you might just get a feel for it over time. I kind of have a feel for it, so I'm like, okay, on my Telecasters, if this is a 5/1000 feeler gauge, I like it to be just a touch loose on a 5/1000. Okay, that's cool for me on a Telecaster for a couple of reasons. One, Telecasters are a little messy anyway. Two, it's got the screwdriver in the thing down here, and if it's close enough, it's close enough. I'm not going to take the guitar apart, so I give this one a little more leeway than some of my other guitars. Plus, Telecasters are just kind of supposed to be like that, right? So that's okay with me. On other guitars, as you'll see, I like things to be almost totally flat, which a lot of people don't agree with, but that's how I like it. So whatever you like for this specification, just make sure that it's the same as when you left it. Now, if it's too tight, if it has tightened up in your absence, then you're going to take your truss rod and you're going to loosen it about eighth of a turn to a quarter of a turn, and that's going to lower the center of the fretboard and make this gap bigger. If it's too loose and you've got a huge gap in here, it's real sloppy, you're going to tighten it by an eighth of a turn at a time, up to maybe a quarter of a turn, and that's going to bring the center of the fretboard back up to the specification that you like. That's probably all you're going to have to do. Retune the guitar, and you're off and running. Because remember, we're not doing, for this is maintenance. This is not full-on setup from the very beginning. You've already been playing this guitar, right? All right, now that we've kind of got the fundamentals, let's just rapid fire through a bunch of guitars and see how they are. Let's keep it consistent. Let's go Tele, then we'll go Strat. How about that? So here's my Mike McCready Strat. Go about right there where it attaches. Go halfway in between. This is about exactly right. That's about like where I like it too. Same thing. Perfect. On this guitar. This guitar might be a little loose, but I'm okay with it. Mostly because I don't want to take the neck off. So I'm basically okay with it. And I like the way this guitar plays, so I'm not going to mess with it. It hasn't moved from the last time I looked at it. All right, here's my Slash Les Paul. Now this guy's probably going to be a little tighter. I like it to be a little tighter. So we'll go up here where it attaches to the body, right about there. We'll go halfway between with that same 6/1000 or 5/1000 feeler gauge. Yeah, see, this is tighter, which is what I want. I don't want it exactly, well, basically flat. Here's how I like my guitars. I like my guitars that the fretboard is basically flat with just a tiny little gap so that I know it's not bound up. That's how I like mine. You might like yours different. You might go off of the book, like when you buy your Telecaster or your Les Paul and you just go off of whatever the industry standard is, which is usually between 5 and 10/1000. Personally, I like mine almost flat. So I'm going to go with that. It's got a little tiny gap there, but it's perfect for what I like. I'm going to say that that one is good, and I kind of knew that one was going to be like that. This Les Paul actually is really good. Another guitar that's going to probably be perfect, not need any adjustment, is my PRS Silver Sky. This is a definitely you get what you pay for situation. This neck is amazing. So go all the way down here, go here. Tight, 5/1000. Exactly what I like. Perfect. Hasn't moved. This is another guitar. Super stable. So this is my Schecter Machine Gun Kelly signature, and this actually has a carbon fiber reinforcements in the neck. It probably will be totally perfect. Now this is another one where I sort of vary from the standard on what I personally like. This is going to be pretty flat. I like this one to be, yeah, this thing's basically tight. It's not bound up, but it's basically tight. I like this guitar to be really, really flat. And it hasn't moved. Carbon fiber will do that to a neck. Make it super stable. Yeah, this thing is awesome. All right, this one might take a little work. This is my Gibson SG Junior, and this guy has the reputation of being a little flexy. I mean, it's an SG, right? And they're just kind of like that. So, let's check him out. Oh, loose. Big time loose. So, he needs to be tightened up. So, here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and take this truss rod cover off. I kind of knew this would happen. This is one guitar that, just because of the construction and how they are, that just kind of needed a little work. I'm not saying it needed a little work, it's one of those ones that could use a little adjustment. So here's what we're going to do. We know that it's loose, so the center of the neck needs to come up. So we're going to take our Gibson truss rod cover, or truss rod wrench, we're going to put it in here, and we're going to tighten it probably about 1/8 of a turn, and we're going to see if that's enough. So I'm just going to go like this, and we're just going to tighten it about 1/8 of a turn like that. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to test it again and see if that was enough. Yep, perfect. I don't like it to be too flat because this guitar, again, it's sort of like a Tele. It's a little messy. The setup is a little messy on it. It likes to be a little loosey-goosey, but it does move a little more than some of the other guitars. So that's all it took, was a little 1/8 of a turn, and then I'll have to tune it up again and just make sure. But this is usually about the level of adjustment that most of your guitars are going to need in your yearly or biannual maintenance like this. Just a 1/4 of a turn to get it back into spec, retune it, and you're off and running. This is my Pink Paisley Texas Toast Challenger. And this guitar is phenomenally good. And it is also perfect. I play this guitar enough to know that it hasn't moved, but this guitar is pretty awesome. So, I mean, that's basically it. If you have to move something a lot, then you might have to go back and check your string height and your intonation. But most of the time, you're only moving it at 1/8 of a turn or so, and you're putting it back where it was. Remember that when you last left the guitar, it probably played great. The only thing that moved, not in your presence, was that one adjustment. So there's probably no need to remove anything else. You could go back and double check it, but don't stress about it too much. It's probably right in there. And then, of course, if you want to put new strings on it and you want to, polish up the fretboard and, put oil on the fretboard and do all the normal maintenance stuff. But I do this about twice a year, just like what I did. I just take it down. I just check the neck relief, make sure everything is good, make sure everything is, looks fine. And then I just throw it back in the case, throw it back on the wall, and then it's probably ready to play for another 6 months or so. This will typically happen in the spring and in the fall when we go from forced air heat and change in humidity to air conditioning, and then back from air conditioning to forced air heat, or whatever your ventilation changes are. I try to keep everything about 45 to 55% humidity in our house, and I've got a humidifier in there, and I've got, of course we have central air and heat. So we just try to make sure that it stays the same. If you only have one guitar, it's obviously way easier, and you'll know probably a little bit more because you're going to be playing that guitar all the time. When you really run into, I don't want to say problems, but more work, is when you have more than one and you've not played them for a while and they move around not in your presence. That's really the trick. Yeah. So there you go. If you want me to do a complete guitar setup video because you've got one that is just so out of whack, get in the comments and let me know, and we'll do a complete guitar setup video from beginning to end. Maybe I will make one totally out of whack and we will have to do the whole thing from scratch. Maybe I'll do that. If you want me to do that, get in the comments and we'll do it. But this is something with just a few basic tools. I'll leave a list of all the tools in the description so that you can get them. If you use those links, it'll help out the channel, but you don't have to. Just go check them out. And there you go. Do me a favor, like and subscribe and do all the other things. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video.